Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Miss Recap.
Movie opens with someone in a room, which from the title of the movie I'm guessing is an escape room. The point is that he falls through the ceiling. There's like a door, but he needs to put in a code before the wall crushes him. He reads a map that says to follow the light to the green, grabs a green book that tells him to look at a clock, and he realizes that in the pictures, people are actually ticking the hands of the clock. With those times, he enters the code, but it doesn't open and he apparently dies. But to understand this story, we have to go to 3 days before, where we're going to meet a couple of characters who are going to end up locked in a bunch of escape rooms. First, we meet this girl named Zoe, who is the classic student who doesn't like parties, is friend of the teachers, is quite nerdy, and keeps talking about things that nobody understands. Really cool, actually. They claim irreducibility of 3 univariate polynomials with integer. I don't understand a thing you're saying. Then we have Jason, who sells investments or something. I don't know. The point is, he's very successful at his job, and his boss loves him and gives him a lot of super expensive gifts. And finally, there's the guy at the beginning called Ben, who is kind of stupid. Has a crappy job, and when he asks his boss for a promotion, he sends him to go out and have fun with his friends. Anyway, the 3 characters, for different reasons, receive a strange cube. Jason gets a box in the name of his boss. Zoe seems to have gotten it from her teacher, and Ben finds it at work with a letter with his name on it. The point is that this cube is some kind of a riddle, so all the characters set about trying to open the box. In the end, I don't know if they managed to open it, but at one point it comes out a piece of paper, and it says that this voucher is worth a ticket to an escape room where they can win 10,000 bucks. So the 3 of them go to a building where we meet the 4th character of this movie, who's called Amanda, and starts to realize that everything is kind of weird because this guy touches her tits, tells her that she must leave the phone, and then says a weird phrase. "Thank you for your service." Well, it's not that weird. I'd probably assume that they just hired a guy who was a bit stupid. I don't know. The point is that in the elevator she meets Danny, the classic nerdy guy who specializes in escape rooms, and I don't know how he could get in with a hidden cell phone. And when they enter the waiting room, we finally meet the last character, whose name is Mike, and supposedly is there because his nephew signed him up. So while they wait, they talk for a while, telling us things that don't interest us, until at one point Amanda wants to go out for a smoke, but she gets locked inside the room. And since Danny is super nerdy and has done about 90 escape rooms, he realized that this is the room, that they're already inside the game, and all together start looking for the combination to escape. There they find a book of Fahrenheit 451. They try to open the lock, but the temperature of the room starts to rise. They also grab a fire extinguisher, there's a key, and with that, they open the lock. They realize that the secretary is a robot and someone calls them on the phone. There they are welcomed and advised to follow the rules. The blinds are closed, even more heaters are turned on, and the room starts to turn into an oven. At one point, Amanda starts to feel bad and she has some burns on her neck as if she had been in a fire, but it doesn't matter for now because Zoe presses something on the table and that opens a duct for an exit. Pressing the cup holders all together opens that and they can get out through the duct. So they fill some glasses with water, and with that, they all manage to escape just before the whole room catches fire. Oh, and before that, Amanda has a few flashbacks to when she was in the war or something, but I guess it doesn't matter much. And thank goodness our characters survived the first room, because otherwise I don't know what they would have done with the rest of the super expensive rooms they already had prepared. Anyway, in the new room, Amanda wants to call the police, but there's no signal, so she has to find a key to get out of the cabin. Then they find another lock where they need a 7-letter word, and while everyone is looking for stuff, Ben has a flashback to when he was driving drunk and crashed into a truck. Anyway, there were a lot of clues, and I got a little lost, but in summary, they get the word to open the lock and manage to get out of the cabin. But it's snowing outside, and on top of that, the door closes. The door was wooden anyway, and I suppose they could have gotten in by breaking into glass windows, but that doesn't matter. The point is that it's really cold and they start looking for a lot more clues. Jason finds a lock. Zoe finds something that says true north is a lie. Then they also get a jacket with a compass inside, and finally a fishing hole and a rod. So with a magnet that luckily they also found, they managed to fish an ice cube with a key inside, and instead of breaking it with something, they think of using a lighter. But when Danny goes to look for it, he falls into the icy water, and though they try to help him, they're kinda stupid, do nothing, and the best character of the movie dies. Then they realize that all this is real, and now, I don't know why, instead of breaking the ice cube against something, they decide to melt it with their body heat. And while everyone is freezing to death, Jason has another flashback to a time when he was also freezing to death on top of a sinking ship. And this is explained later in a bunch more flashbacks, but I'm sick of flashbacks, so I'll explain them all together. Okay. Apparently, they were all in some sort of traumatic event. Amanda in the war, Jason on the boat, Ben in the car accident, Zoe in a plane crash, and lastly, Mike was in a mine collapse. And they all have the characteristic that they were the only survivors of those events. Anyway, they managed to melt the ice, open the door, and just before all the ice breaks, they managed to escape to the next room, which is like an upside-down bar. And if you thought a giant
Oven or an even bigger freezer was expensive, it's because you didn't see this room, which is a giant elevator in the shape of an inverted bar with pieces of the floor falling off. There a phone rings, a song starts playing, and they find a door with no handle. So they start looking for clues, see that the 8-ball's missing, and as pieces of the floor fall off, Amanda finds a safe. So he puts together a giant puzzle that I guess must have been used for something I didn't realize. They put in a Morse code they got from some other clue out there, and with that, they get the handle to open the door so that 5 of them can get out. Well, not really 5 of them, because Amanda doesn't make it and finally dies. The rest get to another room that has a lot of hospital beds, and they realize that they are just like their rooms when they had the accidents. There, Jason realizes that they know too much, because the jacket in that room was the same as the one he had when his boat sank. The song that was playing in the bar was the same as when Ben crashed his car, and we also learned that Danny had survived a carbon monoxide leak where his whole family died. At that moment, a TV is turned on and tells them they have 5 minutes left. Mike finds some x-rays, realizes that it's sign language, but I don't know why, Zoe starts to freak out and break all the cameras. While Zoe breaks everything, the rest grab a machine that measures your heart rate, and with that, they're going to open the door. And please pay attention to this plan. The idea to activate the machine is that Jason gives an electric shock to Mike to increase his heart rate, and with that, open the door. And as expected, the idea works like shit, because Mike dies and the door opens with a low heart rate. So Jason puts on the sensors, starts to lower the rhythm, and with that, he manages to open the door. Jason and Ben escape, but Zoe stays there to break everything because she thinks the exit is on the other side. But she inhales all the poison, and finally, Zoe dies, even though she had one of these breathing masks. Anyway, in the 5th room, Ben starts accusing Jason of killing his friend in the shipwreck and saying that the story he told in another flashback in which his friend went crazy and decided to swim away was false. Anyway, this doesn't matter much because Jason accepts that he killed his friend and the talk ends there. Because now they start looking for some clue, they open a hatch but it had a liquid drug on it, and when they touch it, it makes them both start to get dizzy and look for the antidote. Then finds a syringe, but it says only 1 use. Then they start to fight. Jason breaks his leg, and I don't know how, he dies from a hit on his head. And then Ben gets the antidote to get out to the last room, which is the one they showed us at the beginning, needing the combination with the 10 numbers and 4 spaces. Still, for now, they don't show us more of that because they take us to the room where Zoe died. Well, actually, yes, because when 2 people came in to clean everything, Zoe gets up and puts them both to sleep. And the one who apparently also survives is Ben because he gets inside the fireplace and then breaks a wall. Well, it's not clear if it's a mistake of the room or if he actually won, but the point is that a door opens and Ben survives to the last room, and apparently he is the winner. There, the game master appears and tells him what we already knew, that he was the winner of the game and that they are surprised that the stupidest guy won. What we didn't know was that apparently this is like a sport they created for rich people to gamble and entertain themselves. Anyway, Ben asks if he can leave, but the guy says no, and the final fight between our characters and this weird guy takes place. After killing him, I don't know why, they throw the gun, the computer shows both of them as winners, and now the game is finally over. Later at the hospital, the police talk to Zoe, they go to the place of the rooms, and when they enter there's nothing, and on top of that, since Ben had drugs in his blood, they think what any of us would think. Then she realized that this is also part of the game. She starts to freak out, and there's this scene that looks like straight out of a scary movie. Look, that was a part of the game. 6 months later, they get together to talk, and Zoe is still obsessed with this whole escape room thing, and she shows him that all the bodies of the rest of the main characters appeared, and they pretended they were drowned, died in accidents, or stuff like that. And on top of that, with the logo, she discovers some coordinates, and to look for them, they have to travel to Manhattan. The plane starts to fall to hell, the flight attendants find a clue, open the door of the plane, and there it crashes. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notification so you can watch more videos like this.